It's hard to have a discussion about leadership when we don't really have a common definition of what a leader is. I read the same books as everybody else. A lot of them tell us to sort of learn your style of leadership, how to adapt your style of leadership to fit the situation at hand. That's not leadership, that's management. To be a leader, you need one thing and one thing only: followers. That's it. It has nothing to do with rank or authority. You are a leader when others raise their hands and volunteer to go in the direction you set. The question is, why should anyone follow you? There are many ways to get people to do the things that we want or to follow us. In fact, it all boils down to two things. You can either manipulate people or you can inspire them. Those are your options. We're all familiar with manipulations in the business world. Things like dropping your price. If you drop your price low enough, people will buy from you, right? This is the concept behind a sale. Things are priced to move. Promotions, 2 for 1, free toy inside, buy one, get one free. And in the business-to-business space, we call it value added. The concept is the same. It's giving stuff away for free to reduce someone's risk so they'll choose you over the competition. It is inherently manipulative. Fear, wonderful manipulator. If any of you are parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Peer pressure is another one. I'm sure we've all sat in our offices and had someone tell us, 70% of your competitors are using our service, why aren't you? Maybe 70% of my competitors are idiots. Or maybe 70% of them were offered a price so low they couldn't resist. I don't know. The point is, when we hear that the majority is doing something, we either fear that we're being left out or that they know something that we don't, and it influences our behavior. One of my favorite manipulations is what companies like to call innovation. Real innovation changes the course of industries, if not the way we live our very lives. The fax machine, the light bulb, iTunes, this is real innovation. Adding a camera to your cell phone is a wonderful feature, but it is not an innovation. It's the difference between steps and leaps. And what most organizations like to call innovation is in reality novelty, little additions to their products, nothing earth-shatteringly different. In the 1970s, do you know how many choices of Colgate toothpaste there were? Take a guess. 2. Do you know how many there are now? 30. And that's just Colgate, which means that their competition is offering about the same number of products, about the same price, about the same quality, about the same service. And yet I have no data to show that people are brushing their teeth now more than they were 30 or 40 years ago. What happened was this annoying little thing called globalization, and markets opened up and competition increased and the metrics went down. It doesn't matter which one, market share, revenue, profits, it doesn't matter. The metrics went down. And then to combat that, the company added a new product. This one has fluoride. And people went, ooh, shiny. And they tried it, and the metrics went up. But the problem with competition is they compete and they match the product about the same, and the metrics went down again. Well, it worked the first time, so we'll do it again, and again, and again, and again, until you have 30 different line extensions. When we're surrounded by people who believe what we believe, something remarkable happens. Trust emerges. Make no mistake of it, trust is a feeling. Trust is a human condition. Simply doing everything you say you're going to do does not mean people will trust you. It just means you're reliable. We all have friends that screw up sometimes, and yet we still trust them. Trust is born out of a common set of values and beliefs, and it is absolutely essential for our survival. Because when we're surrounded by people we trust and who trust us, we're more willing to take risks, we're more willing to explore, we're more willing to experiment, which requires failure. All with the confidence that if we turn our backs, go away, or fall down, someone from within our communities will watch our backs, watch our stuff, and help us up when we fall down. Absent trust, we still have the will to survive, but absent trust, it's every man for himself. And it becomes selfish and destructive when we act more and more and more short-term. Great organizations are not the ones that outperform necessarily every quarter. Great organizations are the ones that in hard times, people come together. You want to know why Lehman Brothers failed? Lehman was exceptionally good at what they did. They were exceptionally good at how they did it. But at the slightest shimmy, the whole thing collapsed. Not in months, not in weeks, in days. Great organizations in hard times come together. It's like the quality of a crew. We cannot judge the quality of a crew when the seas are calm. We cannot judge the quality of a company when the economy is good. Just because they're making money is no indication of how strong the organization and how strong the culture is. However, when the seas are rough, how good is the crew? Do they run to each other's aids or do they jump off the ship? All with the same thing. Every man for himself. Gotta look after numero uno. Gotta pay the bills. Gotta feed the family. Gotta survive. great organizations, the people sacrifice themselves for each other. In the military, they give medals to people who are willing to sacrifice themselves so that others may gain. In business, we give bonuses to people who are willing to sacrifice others so that we may gain. We have it backwards. This is not my opinion. This is grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, but biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain evolved into three major sections that corresponds precisely with this little idea. The outside area is called our neocortex. It's our Homo sapien brain, responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. This is why you can't ask your customers, why do you do business with us? Why do you love us? They can't tell you, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. This is where gut decisions come from. There is no part of your stomach that controls decision-making. And it's not in your blood, and it's not in your bones, and you're not following your heart. We ascribe it to different parts of our body because the part of our brain that controls language doesn't control decision-making. And it's not an accident that we use the verb to feel to describe gut decisions. I know all the data says we should do that, but it doesn't feel right. That would be biologically accurate. The part of the brain that controls feeling controls decision-making. This is also the reason why the question, why do you love your husband or why do you love your wife, is a difficult question. Why do you love your wife? I don't know. That's where most people start. You've been married for 15 years and you don't know why you love your wife, you know? She's smart, she's fun, I can trust her, I've known her forever, you know? Sounds like a golden retriever, right? And then we start saying things that don't even make sense, right? She completes me. Don't know what that means, right? I have a left arm and a left leg, she's got a right arm and a right leg, together we make one. I don't even know what it means. What we're attempting to do is verbalize the feelings we have towards a person or an organization with the part of the brain that doesn't control language. And so we make things up, we rationalize, or we actually say things that don't make sense. How many of you love your Macintosh computer or know someone who loves their Macintosh computer? Okay, they always put their hands up so quickly, they're always so excited. You can always tell people who love their Macs, because when you try to explain to them rationally, based on facts and figures, they actually bought substandard computers, they start foaming at the mouth. Right? But rationally speaking, that's exactly what happened. Rationally speaking, based on facts and figures, Macs are at least 25% more expensive than their PC counterparts, sometimes double their price. There's less software, there's fewer peripherals, and they're absolutely slower. I mean, there's nothing faster about them. I have one, and I get that spinning beach ball of death all the time. Right? The difference is, Apple's not selling us one of these, they're selling us one of these. Because Apple is so clear about what they believe, so disciplined how they do things, and so consistent in what they do, it gets the point that their computers serve as a symbol of a set of values and beliefs. Those people who love their Macs didn't buy it just for the product based on the rational sensibilities and the rational differentiators. They bought it to demonstrate something about who they are. This is why Mac lovers love opening their computers in airports. Right? People with PCs don't open their computers in airports, they don't care. It's just a commodity, it's just a computer. And sometimes you see a PC with an Apple sticker. That's somebody telling you, my office gave me the computer, this is not really who I am. It's a symbol for who they are. Because you see, our survival depends on our ability to find people who believe what we believe. And because the part of the brain that controls behavior doesn't control language, we rely on stories and symbols and all of these things to help communicate who we are. This is why authenticity matters. Because if you say and do the things you actually believe, you will attract people who believe what you believe. If you lie, people will be drawn to the lie, but we will start to figure out that you don't actually believe those things, and so we don't trust you. This is why we don't generally trust politicians. Because when we sit down and evaluate all the things they tell us, yes, rationally speaking, all of their opinions happen to align completely perfectly with all the beliefs I have, but we know that they're not telling us things that they actually believe. And so we don't trust them. Trust is a very, very important thing. Our survival depends on it. We're highly, highly attuned to it. Everybody's got their comprehensive 12-point plan these days. We're not inspired by your plan. We're inspired by what you believe and where you're going. This is the remarkable thing about human beings. We can imagine the future. We can only see the things that we have words for. And this is what great leaders do. They can put these things into words. Let's imagine that this room is empty and we're standing over here in the corner. I give you a very simple instruction. I want you to go to that corner in a straight line. Off you go, no problem. And without telling you, I quickly put a chair in front of you. And what do? You go around the chair. This is the remarkable thing about human beings. When we're crystal clear on the place we're going, on the destination, on the vision, our route is flexible. Even though you just ignored what I told you to do, I told you to go in a straight line. This is the great thing about people. When we are clear in the destination, we are flexible on the route. Reset. Let's stand in the corner again. I give you a simple instruction. I want you to go in a straight line to some point in this room. And you say, well, where do you want me to go? I say, I don't know. You're smart. And so you pick an arbitrary point in the room and you start walking there. And without telling you, I quickly put a chair in front of you. And what do? You come to a grinding halt, or you make a sudden sharp turn. And I say to you, what are you doing? You say, well, how can I go in a straight line if you put a chair in front of me? In other words, when we're not clear on the destination, or the destination is arbitrary, we become obsessed with the route. And now you think about how we do business these days. You know, what's your goal for the end of the year? To increase top-line revenues by $500 million. Why not 400 million? Why not 600 million? There are arbitrary points in the room. And then we become obsessed with the strategies that we've set to get there, as opposed to the great leaders and the great organizations that explain why their companies exist, and then leave it to their people to figure out the route how to get there. And that's how you get innovation. Leadership's only responsibility is to point north, to point the direction, to say where we're going, and allow everybody else to figure out how to get there. This is what we feel fulfilled about our ability to contribute to the organization. Jobs told people that he believed in making products that allow people to have more control, that we shouldn't be at the dictate of large organizations that tell us how things should work. And he allowed it to his people to figure out ways how to get there. That's what drives innovation, a clear sense of destination, not an obsession with the route. There are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or influence or rank, but those who lead inspire us. And whether they're individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead not because we have to, but because we want to. And we follow those who lead not for them, but for ourselves.